Welcome to the online summit. I'm very glad you're here, and I'm very glad to welcome one of our famous homeopathic colleagues, Roger van Zandvoort, living in Thailand. And I'm very, very glad that he takes the time to communicate with us today about all his points of views and all his very deep knowledge in homeopathy. Hi, Roger. Thank you for taking time to talk with us.
Good to see you.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet such an extraordinary person today.
I don't know about that. Maybe in the field of research in homeopathy, but I'm the only person in the world who does this specific. How did happen?
Because here in Europe, we are suffering from the crisis, not on the medical point of view, but from the legal and social and economical point of view.
Yeah, is it different, you think, than, for example, in Holland, where I come from?
I guess so. I'm situated in Greece, and here in Greece, we are not allowed to leave the house. We have to SMS the government that we want to leave the house. There are only 6 reasons where we are allowed to leave the house. This is going to the ATM, going for shopping, going for personal exercise. Then we have to keep social distancing of 2 meters. And all the shops are closed. Only the supermarket is open. No taverna, no bar, no cafe, nothing is open. All the little shops are closed down. No craftsman is allowed to work.
Yeah, I don't agree with it either, but I'm not a legal person. Difficult to say whether or not they can continue it this way. And what I feel behind it is that it's a kind of fear mongering and testing the population, how far they can actually go.
Oh, this is my point of view too. This is very interesting because I'm a veterinarian. From my point of view, this coronavirus is merely nothing.
A bad flu.
It's a bad flu, yes.
Yeah, the way I see it.
Yeah, we have so many possibilities to treat it in the right way as naturopaths or homeopaths that for us, it doesn't mean anything. But we definitely can create a global economical crisis out of that.
Well, it's already happening.
Yeah.
And it could be that the end result of it is that everybody, because of the panic, will accept vaccination on a 100% scale. Whether or not you have immunity or not, that's not suddenly will not be important anymore. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And then what happens is it's becoming only about money again.
Probably. As far as I can see, the medication that is published in the Lancet, with going by 2 antibiotics, 2 virostatica, one of them usually used for HIV treatment.
Yeah, I read about them.
One inflammatory above. If I would take that, I'm sure it would kill me.
Well, the patient died in the Lancet.
Yeah, a lot of people die from that medication.
You know, and the funny thing about it is, you can say he died of coronavirus. You can also say, but nobody talks about it. He died because of all the medicine that he got and the side effects, and probably also the reason that they are not to fight a pneumonia.
Yeah, then absolutely, the medication is not apt.
Yeah, you know, I was talking to a friend of me today here on the island. I live on Phuket Island in Thailand. And as far as homeopathy goes, I cannot talk to anybody but homeopaths about this, that we could probably help. You know, they look at you as if you are from another planet, even if they are good friends. And gives me a kind of the conclusion that pharmaceutical industry won already. You know, it's so deeply ingrained in the people that the homeopaths are just a ridiculous bunch of people. And yet I feel, especially in this crisis and with all the study and what I have read in the old magazines and books, we could have been a tremendous help. We still can be, but there's no country, nearly no country in the world that will accept that we can do something, you know. And then we could, except for Cuba, I think.
Maybe Cuba, not even.
Cuba is administering preventive homeopathic medicine to elderly people. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
it's possibly and probably because they are short of any pharmaceutical medicines due to the boycott that they still have, which might be a good thing for them, you know, and they have had some other epidemics in Cuba that were helped with homeopathy. So I hope they not even think that they are missing out on something pharmaceutical. I don't think so.
I hope so. At least we have a country that's going to test.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, the results will be made ridiculous, but some people will know better anyhow. Yeah.
Roger, as far as your knowledge goes, did you already happen to identify a genius epidemicus?
There are several as came out in the last couple of months. One of the things I'm doing, I'm the administrator together with a colleague of mine, Rajendra, of a big group on Facebook, which is just for professional homeopaths, presenting cases, repertorizations, etc. The dry stuff, so to speak. Because it's the dry stuff where we are lacking at knowledge as homeopaths. So I try to fill in the gap a little bit. And what comes out is that it depends a little bit on the region where you are situated, whether or not you need to go for genus epidemicus A, or if you are in another region with different circumstances, you need to go for genus epidemicus B. It's not all the same. It never has been, actually, in the past too. And read about that when they were treating the cholera. In most places it was camphora, but in other places it was veratrum or arsenicum, different remedy.
I can remember.
And for example, if you think about the people in northern Italy and the people in Wuhan, there's a lot of pollution going on there for decennia, which is a big influence on their lungs anyhow, you know, which is probably the reason that relatively many people died. So if you take those external environmental parameters into consideration, you come to a different remedy than that you would need treating people in another region of the world, and then of course their emotional situation comes into play too. So you cannot say one remedy. That's too simple. Homeopathy is individualized medicine, so you even if you look for a genus epidemicus, you need to take that into consideration.
I remember the old books of Hahnemann, where he did write about the cholera and identify camphora, veratrum, and arsenicum, and said you can take one of those, but then you have to see how the patient reacts, and then it might be an individualized remedy after.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what is the beautiful thing, because now I know you read those books too. The good thing about homeopathy is, and even the homeopaths don't realize that very often, is that the principles that it was based on, they were valid 220 years ago, meanwhile. And they're still valid today. You don't need to change anything. It's not as if you go to a regular doctor and you propose a pneumonia therapy, for example, that they had 40 years ago. They will look at you as if you are crazy, you know, and you should, if you were a doctor proposing it, you should leave the union or something like that. You know, there have been situations like that in the past. That won't happen with homeopathy. The knowledge that we have from Spanish flu, for example,
Mhm.
Also, most people died of pneumonia. Is a lot like the virus now, not the same one, but that knowledge that was collected in that time is as valid today for the corona crisis, and we should be able to use that information, but not too many people let us. Private practices, I have quite some people sending in their cases, and that's going well. But on a hospital scale, not much is happening.
Oh, this is interesting. Not even from India?
In India, there is, that I know of, as at least one homeopathic hospital, they are treating corona people, corona patients,
Mhm.
with good success. But that doesn't, I mean, there's so much pressure from the pharmaceutical industry on the background, big money. There's not much initiative furthermore from the government to promote and support any other people or groups that would like to do a similar thing as in this one Indian hospital that I'm talking. No, I'm a little bit disappointed that even the countries that say they promote homeopathy not really dive into it, you know. Switzerland at least said to the practitioners of homeopathy, doctors and non-doctors, you can have both, like in Germany. We need everybody with their clinics open for our citizens. That's a good starting point.
Mhm.
It's not like most other people say, we need to protect our citizens from homeopathy.
Mhm.
Very different approach. So Switzerland is doing a little bit, Cuba obviously on a grand scale. Other country, India, okay, at least one hospital, potentially a couple more, because there are so many homeopaths there. Furthermore, I don't know, privately, so in their private practices, everywhere in the world. But a little bit with a kind of secrecy around it, you know, or don't talk. I said, look, cure those people if you can. That will happen in a high amount of situations, and make sure that these people talk about it. Not just go home and say, oh, the doctor, the homeopathic doctor fixed me again. No, talk about it. But people are very afraid to be ridiculized.
Yes, this is something that is happening here in Europe already. I tried to get colleagues to talk about their opinion on the whole corona crisis, and they are afraid to talk openly because lots of them, like Wolfgang Wodak or Dr. Köhnlein, already are ridiculized and are called conspiracists because they very openly talked about that it is not a real epidemic and none the least a pandemic.
Yeah, well, maybe it is, but then so was last year's common cold.
Common cold, yes.
Yeah.
And they had a totally different point of view in comparison with, let's say, Christian Drosten from the government. And nobody who's really thinking does understand what's happening to human rights, what's happening to people. And we are all afraid of what you said in the beginning, that mass vaccination or compulsory vaccination is going to take place.
Yeah, I see it. I see it happen. And what probably will come out is that later on, after those vaccinations, still not everybody is immune to the virus because there will be mutations. But even without the mutations, we know that vaccines are not the ultimate answer to anything.
No, I studied Edward Jenner. And I know his opinion that he said at the end of his life, he wanted that he hadn't invented it.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's interesting. And
Yes,
did he say why?
he said that he made a mistake and that he probably did suppress humanity with something that is worse than war. And everybody said this is the thinking of an old man that didn't take him serious. But Edward Jenner himself realized what he had done. And he couldn't take it back.
No, too late for that. Now it's big money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And with people like Mr. Bill Gates behind it.
Owning 7 companies. All going
all going, yeah, exactly. So take your pick. Any one of them making a big profit already compensates for the money he put in any of the 6 other ones, I guess. Yeah.
This is some kind of a human tragedy. And the other thing is what, I don't know, is this a symptom going around the world that everybody seems to be stuck? Nobody raises the voice. Nobody is talking.
Yeah, that is what makes me not scared, but worried.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a meatball society. Like, you know, homogenized pieces of people, you know, who don't bite back, who don't say anything back. And that's the worst climate also if you want to approach anything from a scientific angle. That's the worst beginning you can imagine, you know, with nobody actually prepared to ask a question, to start a scientific, how you say that, good scientific, evaluation or project in general. Yeah, no, everybody does what the so-called knowledgeable people say.
Yeah.
And accept that. And if you say something else, then it's like in the Middle Ages, you know, with Catholicism.
Yeah, it looks like Inquisition.
The new Catholicism or something like that. Yeah, well, this is, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what to think about. And I hope I'm wrong, but we will only see in about a year or something.
Oh,
when the vaccines come out, I'm very interested to see what's going on there.
I can inform you that the Austrian Chancellor already said that there will be no right of free travel till we have vaccines or medication that is approved.
If it would be Ebola, I could understand, but with this virus, I don't understand it. And what if I have personal immunity? Is that not good enough?
Yeah, obviously not.
Yeah, well, come on. Because natural immunity is definitely better than vaccine immunity.
Definitely. I was one of the last students of Professor Anton Meyer. I had the pleasure to study para-immunity, where we had all the view on the, how do you call it, granulocytes and the old immune system, and not on the new immune system that works with the B lymphocytes and the antigens, where you can do the vaccines.
Yeah, I need to know more about this. I recently read an interview with an American, no, it's not a virologist, I think. He's a PhD, but he does all kind of things. He's originally from India. He said you shouldn't believe anything that is going on right now in the United States as to the severity of what is going on, and because this is just a setup for a future plan. He's a little bit more dark than I am. But he said the whole idea about vaccinations was based on a view on immunology that is actually outdated. It's not like that anymore.
This is very true. I can tell you what my professor said to me when I was a young student. He said we have 2/3 of the immune systems are the granulocytes who go for everything that is foreign to the body. Then we have 1/3, this is the B and T lymphocytes, and only the T lymphocytes, which is a third again of that third, are reacting to the vaccination. So if you vaccinate, you go with 1/9 of the immune system.
Yeah, so that's the atypical immune reaction, the first one. That goes for everything. And then after that, you need to develop the specific antibodies that go for the specific, how you call it, the agent that is causing the infection.
Yes, and this antibody reaction is only done by 1/9 of the immune system.
Yeah, much
but you
smaller
could go
part.
for the 2/3 of the immune system that can catch all. And if you force that part of the immune system to react better, it can catch any disease. We tested on, what is the English word for pest? Plague?
Plague, yeah.
Yeah, we tested for plague with mice, and 100% of the mice survived if you just made that part of the immune system react better with para-immunities inducers, we call them. All of the mice survived the plague.
Yeah, I think homeopathy works along the same lines. I think homeopathy works along the same lines, where it helps the immune system for the more general first reaction.
Yeah.
And then when you really point out a minimum, so that is what a genus epidemicus would do in most situations. And then when you go one step further, this is a theory of mine, just because of all the things that are going on. If you have the minimum, the individual homeopathic remedy, that actually even works on the non-coding DNA that is needed to do what you are talking about, you know, the specific antibodies, production and recognition, etc. And I think when you give the minimum, that goes a little bit further than just working on the general immune picture. And then you really, I think you're able even to help the body switch the switches that need to be switched, you know, in the coding DNA, non-coding DNA.
Yeah, this is an interesting point of view, but I can see it. I remember sepsis in myself treated with homeopathy. I had a cat that did bite me very bad, was stuck in my hand, a wild cat.
Don't have those. Keep them wild. Keep them wild. Right. In Greece?
No, that was when I still lived in Germany and had my office running. And we did take, the hand was swollen within 20 minutes. I couldn't move it. It was terrible, a lot of pain. And we took Ledum 10,000, C10,000. And within 24 hours, I developed Lachesis symptoms. Then we took Lachesis 10,000. And the day after, I had symptoms of Apis. So we took Apis 10,000. And within 5 days, everything was gone.
Yeah.
And I didn't take any antibiotics, nothing, only a bit of disinfection of the hand. And this is not possible to do this with antibiotics or normal treatment.
No,
it's not possible.
The only thing that you need for what you are saying, and I had a similar situation, is a good homeopath.
Yeah.
But they are not always available. That's the bad thing about homeopathy. People will not like what I say now. Homeopathy is good, but the homeopaths definitely could be better, many of them. The quality of a lot of homeopaths is not good enough. They too easily go to complex remedies. They wait for somebody to find out the genus epidemicus in this situation, Well, they could already be busy treating their patients with something better than that, individual remedy. But they are afraid, easily afraid, and that goes away with knowledge, but you need to study. You cannot do it the easy way. It's not such an easy profession or science.
No.
You need to know a lot. You need to know a lot, and you need to be able to filter out what is not important. And a lot of steps need to be taken. It's easier to give anybody who fell in the street or had a scratch from a cat a tetanus injection, and maybe some antibiotics afterwards if there is a local inflammation, and that's it. But it doesn't always work.
Yes.
Mm. Yeah.
It wouldn't have worked in my case. It was a very, very bad infection. And with a normal allopathic treatment, I would have guessed the whole thing would have gone to surgery and at least a treatment of 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, possible.
So I could go back to work after 4 days.
Yeah. I had a similar situation with my wife. She was stung by, we have nice wasps here. They come in 3 sizes. The smallest ones are doable, but already from the middle-sized one, they inject mostly choline into the body, and she had 4 or 5 stings on her head because she was cutting a bougainville tree. And then they attacked because they had a nest in it. She didn't see it. And first, of course, you need to beat the wasps flat as you can, because otherwise they keep stinging. Then after that, it was a mix of belladonna, apis, belladonna again, and something else. I remember giving 3 different things, maybe ladum too. I'm not sure. But and then she developed an edema that went down from the top because she was stung on her top of her head, and it went over one eye down to one side on the side that most of the stings were, and kind of then dissolved into the body. But you could, over a couple of 4 or 5 days, it went down, and it was finished. Then later I read some people die of that, so it was not a small thing. So homeopathy did a very good job then.
I see the same. Your topic was that homeopathy still is the same 200 years after it's working perfectly.
I said it was not the topic, but we can make it the topic.
Make it the topic. Yes, instead we have a lack of very good homeopaths. And my answer to that is we only have 2 countries where we are able to study homeopathy. And in all the other countries, we only have courses. I had 3 months on the row homeopathic, how do you call it, courses, where I met Darius Benedi and Alf Goikens and all those professionals and had the possibility to learn from them.
You went to Alonisos?
I haven't been to Alonisos. It was way back when I was living in Germany. I had this 3 months course in Augsburg.
Ah, okay. And George did them?
Yep.
Yeah. Like he did later in Holland. And I think he started in Esselen in California, longest time ago. And then he went to a place in England, I think in London somewhere. And then from there, he went to Holland and Germany. And when he became a little bit older, he went back to Alonisos. Is that?
We had different teachers. We had nearly each day another highly
that's good.
Highly developed homeopath. I did see Darius Benedi. I had Wolfgang Springer, Alf Goikens.
Yeah, I know the names, and I half see that Alf is already dead. Mm. I went to many of his seminars in where he lives in Belgium.
Yeah. I liked his way of teaching. It was very practical.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Very down to earth, very practical, no nonsense. I liked him and George. I liked the best.
Yeah.
Those two.
Yeah, yes.
Just
George
straight.
now, George now is very near, and you're right. I have to go to Alonisos and take one of the courses again. But what I was saying, we lack universities. What can we do about that? We should have, like in India or Mexico, we should have universities to study homeopathy, to make it a 5 years thing, so that we really know how to do it.
Yeah. I did a lot of courses. I had a 3-year real school for homeopathy, but it was not only homeopathy, it also had herbal medicine and physiology, pathology, etc. It was a setup to become a Heilpraktiker. Yeah. And then my biggest interest initially was herbal medicine, and later it became homeopathy as a kind of refined extension of herbal medicine, but also including non-herbal agents, you know, remedies. Yeah. And then after that, I thought, so this is what I really like and would like to study more. And then I went to George. The more people you go to, the better, to actually develop your own direction in homeopathy in that sense that it needs, the way you do homeopathy needs to fit a little bit with your character. Otherwise, you might lose a percentage of your motivation. That's the way I see it. So if you can do a homeopathy that is most closely to you as a person in the way you set it up, the knowledge is still the same, of course, but the way you approach your patients, the way, etc., etc. And then you develop your own style, like a painter. It's not just about down-to-earth knowledge. There's an artistic element in it too, and you need to satisfy that element. Otherwise, you are not going to do something like that for the next 40 years or 50 years in your life. You know, it needs to have a strong basis. Yeah. And I think it needs to fit with you. So the more people you listen to, the more they can give you an idea. This is what I don't want, and this is the way he or she approaches the anamnesis, the patient, etc. That's what I would like to do too. Yeah. I like the pragmatic version, like Alphonse and George.
Yes. I remember him explaining the symptoms of Rhus tox when he treated a farmer. That was very nice.
Yeah, and a little bit of good acting also is in the right place. Yeah, sure.
I can remember that. So, concerning your work, you did all this work on the repertories, refining the repertory, combining repertories. Would you like to talk a bit on that?
Yeah, it's what I still do, and people always ask me, well, why did you start this, first of all? And I had a recent interview with the Turkish homeopath and computer specialist, and he did all kinds of things. Smart person. And he made me think about this. And what comes out is I come from a family of builders, construction builders, my father's side, and from my mother's side, more car technical. They had the garage, they repair cars, they import cars, not anymore, but in the past. So it's from both sides, it's about good tools. And also in homeopathy, you need good tools, there you go. Yeah. So I thought one of these tools is the repertory, and early in my study already, I found out, well, we have hundreds of different repertories. few of them cover the whole symptomatology of the person head to toe. But still, you have a choice. You have nurse repertory, you have jazz repertory, Berninghaussen's repertory, Boger's repertory, Kent's repertory, etc. And first of all, I saw that they are not always the same. So how is that possible? Then you are forced to go back into the source materials. So you need to study a lot of materia medica, the primary ones, the ones that contain the proving material. And then you see the differences and how people do interpretations and what is right, what is wrong. It becomes a hard question to answer sometimes. But, well, I kind of decided to make that my work over the years. I initially had a practice, which was nice, but I didn't like it as much as working on the database. That it, well, later it became a database when computers came out, 85, 86, 87. And I used that to start building on one. With the starting point was Kent's repertory, and then later the material and the vision points that other homeopaths used to create their repertories. For example, Berningshausen. I tried to fused together with Kent's ideas that were a little bit different, etc. So you got a multifaceted repertory because of, I hope so at least, people like it, but still people are kind of hesitant to talk about anything repertory because the nagging feeling that many people have in the back of their head is always, we don't know enough about it. And I can see that even when you talk about teachers who teach repertory at university studies, for example, in India, but also sometimes other places in the world, they teach it, but they don't know enough about it. So then I think that's the main obstacle if you want to teach something. The students perceive when you know something and when you don't know something. And they go home with a kind of nagging feeling that there is more to it, but they didn't get what that was. You know? So it's always a weak spot in homeopathic practice and homeopathic education repertories. So I have that big group now on Facebook that we try to use to make people more aware of the possibilities of repertorization, what is in it, how to use it, make in the database itself, make cross-references, try to slowly bring the sometimes old-fashioned language into more modern language, etc., etc. It's a big undertaking. It will never be finished, but that doesn't matter as long as I can find some people who can take it over and continue work on it.
Yes,
so the next 40 years are already reserved to continue the job. I won't have another 40 years, well maybe, but I will probably not be busy with the repertory anymore. But it's an ongoing job. It will need more people than just me to do it.
I remember when I was a young homeopath that I still had Kent's repertory and I was doing everything by hand, looking in it and trying to find the right remedies. Now we have the computerized version and your version of the complete repertory. Did you try to do repertorizations on the corona topic?
Yeah, we did. Actually, several people did, and it's a nice sport, so to speak. But what was interesting about the in the beginning that they discovered the disease, what was interesting is that no specific symptoms came out. There was no knowledge or no publications that said exactly what is going on. It was just, oh, it's a kind of flu that produces pneumonia, mostly in the older people or people with compromised immune systems. But not much was said about the details. So then you know already as a homeopath, okay, you can make a listing, a repertory, a listing of common flu symptoms. And you can take into consideration that obviously this specific virus didn't produce so much symptomatology in the upper respiratory tract, but more in the deeper respiratory tract, as a big difference to what the common flu does normally. But much more than that, we didn't have for quite some weeks, till it started to come up in the West, and then slowly more little details like the fact that specifically for this virus, for example, you see that there develops lack of taste and lack of smell as in combination often, as an important little detail of what the virus is doing. And that's a specific thing that you can use in homeopathy, as you know. And another one was that they get follicular conjunctivitis, so that you can check that. That could be a sign of COVID-19. And recently, a couple of days ago, there was an article that said in a selected smaller group of people, it also causes brain symptomatology, irritation of the brain, that makes you think more in favor of remedies like belladonna initially and baptisia, maybe Helleborus. My colleague had a Helleborus case, not sure if it was COVID-19, but it's published. He treated it with Helleborus. Nice results. So you need to know those kind of things. And then you can make a repertorial listing. What you normally need to do, so you can make such a listing from the common disease symptoms, but then you're missing something homeopathically. So you can come to some ideas about remedies, arsenic, phosphorus, the usual flu remedies with some more aggressive tendencies towards the lungs. Arsenicum with the emotional aspects, the fear, etc., etc. Now a new remedy came out, Lobelia purpurescens, as a strong contender locally also for genus epidemicus. Idem ozone, homeopathic preparation of ozone, with quite some cases already published with good results. But those come only out when you have the repertorial listing for a common disease, can be any kind. I did it for SARS a couple of years ago too. But if you only, and you can do it for dengue, you can do it for malaria. But what it still misses is the individual aspect. So what you need to do is you take that as a kind of blueprint, but you need to add onto that the individual aspects, and especially what on an individual level is produced in terms of what I call dynamic symptoms. Dynamic symptoms are the ones that kind of give you an impression about what the immune system is actively doing as an interpretation to modern times, so to speak. What kind of modalities, motion aggravates, bryonia, strong anxiety as a concomitant with all the complaints, arsenicum. You need alternating symptoms. For example, I don't know in this case, but an example could be an alternation between lack of smell and lack of taste. That would give you a strong indicator for a certain group of remedies. So you need to add on to that general disease picture those individual things. Otherwise, there's the possibility in practice that you give a remedy and nothing happens, as you know.
I don't know. Yes, I did this as a vet. I did this for cat flu, for parvovirosis of cats. I had my lists and repertorizations as those 10 could be, and then I have to individualize.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. And what you know, and what I like about veterinarians is that they know much more about the art of observation.
Yeah.
And they should use that with humans too, because when humans speak, doesn't mean that they say the truth. No, it's true. You probably know about that. So it's a good thing to study well and learn how to observe things, because definitely in a human practice you need those same skills. If you lack on them, it's more difficult for you to find a minimum.
Yeah. Roger, there's something I wanted to ask you, very personal question. All over the world, we had this crazy thing that people did buy toilet paper on
Yeah,
holiday.
yeah,
Is this a symptom?
yeah. Fear of it's like cholera, you know. It's like fear of contamination, fear of contagion, fear of viruses, bacteria, dirty things. I have this association when I hear that story. Yeah, I read about it. Um, and this must be true more for the Western world too, because where I live now here in Thailand and most Southeast Asian countries and Middle Eastern countries, they use water to clean. You know? They have these hygienic toilets. They don't even need toilet paper. So yeah, it's what I don't know exactly what to think about this. I thought it had something to do with the dirty factor.
Mm-hmm. It's a crazy fear of contamination. I agree to that.
Yeah, that's what I think. And that's why they think, oh, the first thing you need for that is toilet paper.
Toilet paper and the masks and the gloves.
Yeah, well, the mask and the gloves didn't run so well in the Western countries. Now they are coming back on the earlier viewpoint that the masks were needed. And in Southeast Asia, also probably because they had some experience with the SARS coronavirus, where the masks happened to be quite important, that automatically this time too, they advised all their citizens to use the masks, and people are doing it. And in the West, obviously due to something that the World Health Organization said, that it's not so important this time, many people wanted to not use them because it kind of limits you in your freedom, etc., etc. Instead of that, they went buying toilet paper. I don't know. I would have chosen for the mask.
Yeah, we had crazy things with toilet paper. Now they're going for the masks and the gloves. And one symptom I can tell you from Greece is that when I go to the supermarket, I see the women with the gloves and the masks, but not the men.
Well, there are more men dying from the corona-19 than women. I think the ratio is women 30%, men 70%.
Interesting.
Yeah, also because they smoke more, it is said, but the exact reasons are not known. By the way, I need to tell you too, this the gloves, I understand when you would go with the gloves to your face, close to the mucous membrane, but there is no danger of the virus on the skin.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything. You need to wash it off, but it will not cause the disease.
I know.
People should know that. Maybe people who are listening later.
Yeah, but maybe you are right. That one of the symptoms is this crazy fear of being infected.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It's very interesting. I will
Well,
have
next time try the paper masks, not the paper.
Roger, any advice you would give to the people in the world who listen to this interview?
Don't accept everything that people tell you so easily. And in this specific situation with the COVID-19 disease, of course, make sure that when you are in one of the risk groups, take care of your mask, take care that you don't get contaminated, keep your distance, make sure that you know where to go if you get any symptoms and they would become worse, and have respect for those people that are in a risk group. So try to treat them properly and make sure that they don't get anything from you. But that shouldn't be all, you know, because I know that with homeopathy, we have a therapy that could help you already, that helped with many of the epidemics that we had in the past, helped 10, sometimes more times better than what regular medicine had to offer. There's one very important book about this, actually, that was written, I think, in 1900 or 1910. I forgot the exact date. It's a collage of statistics to compare homeopathy with other therapies that were done in those days, which are mostly the same as now. And the name of the author is Thomas Lindsay Bradford, American how you call these people? Bibliothecaris. And I think he was a homeopath too, probably Dr. Homeopath with a love for books. And he collected a lot of data as objectively as possible. That was his plan. To once and for all make it clear that it is important in these situations to have homeopathy. And the name of the title of the book is The Logic of Figures.
Oh.
Easy to remember.
Easy to remember. I have to confess, I didn't read that book.
No, it's full with collected data of hundreds, sometimes thousands of patients, comparisons, regular medicine treatment, homeopathic treatment. And it's always way in favor of homeopathy. No exceptions.
Yes, and for those who think that allopathic medicine is modern now, we can't just say what allopathic treatment did 200 years ago. You still remember?
Yeah, 200 years ago. I know that. Yeah, that was the time. That is actually the reason that Hahnemann kind of revolted.
Yeah, he revolted
in his days against what was going on in regular medicine. What was regular medicine at that time?
Yeah.
So he wanted to do something else because he saw that that's not going well there.
No. No, the most treatment they did was taking ointments with mercury in it, because that suppresses everything.
A lot of that.
Then they, how do you call it when you lose blood? And do it.
Bloodletting with the leeches. Yeah.
This was a famous cholera treatment by the Allopathics. Of course, many people died then.
Yeah.
And then we had this hot irons to burn things when you had arthritis.
Yeah.
And then we had those ropes, which they did put through the skin and produce pus to go. and to somehow get reaction in old places where infections were. But a lot of people died because of those treatments. And I guess in 200 years, historians, when they look back to our time now, they will still see that homeopathy works even then, but they will look back to all that we do now with vaccination and antibiotics and virostatics as medieval.
Yeah, if we are still there in 200 years.
If we are still there.
The earth is already enjoying what is happening now.
Yeah. And this is...
But okay, so maybe some of us will be left over to do a good job.
I guess so, that it might be a splitting now in humanity, where those who see that capitalism doesn't work have the possibility to rethink and rejoin nature and go for a homeostasis with nature.
Yeah, it's a good plan. I'm not so sure it will happen so easily. Well, it never happened. It never happened easily before.
No, paradigm shifts are not easy.
And it always comes from people on the outer boards of humanity. It never comes from the organization inside. So that's also to be expected. It should come from people that are considered weird or extreme, something like that. And that's what currently is kind of sucked out of society. You know, the spirit of doing something a little bit different, or motivated by love of nature, but with good examples from the past. And if that doesn't fit with the common denominator of capitalism or money, then it's ridiculed.
Mm-hmm. This is something that happens. But if you think of the famous permaculture people, they always said, if you look at nature, it's the same as humanity. On the outskirts of a property, or of the outskirts of a garden, outskirts of humanity, there is where the evolution takes place, and there's where the interesting things take place.
Yeah.
So those
let's see what happens. Yeah, let's see what happens. I'm neutral. I do what I can, and it's a little bit, I know that, just a little bit. And the rest needs to come from a general idea with the people that something is not right. That's the beginning part.
I wondered what my position is, Roger, and I shifted. I now say I believe in the creativity and inventivity of humans. I believe that we will make it.
Yeah, I think you are right. It's only a matter of how long is this going to take, you know, how much suppression is there going to be, and therefore how much time you have to promote this viewpoint. It's not a viewpoint, it's actually common sense.
It's common sense, and it's my position.
That's a good, so I wish you luck with that. And I can join you there.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Any last word you want to say to the people who listen?
It's always difficult, these kind of things. Well, that could be the last word already. But believe a little bit in yourself and what you feel inside of yourself, you know. And then you see already that automatically agreeing with anything that is said to you and done to you doesn't feel good. There's something inside of you already that kind of makes your hair stand on edge, you know, with some things. Believe in those and try to find some other people with likewise thoughts and talk about it. It's not as strange as you think.
Thank you, Roger. It was
Welcome.
very nice interview, and I'm very glad that I had the opportunity to meet you.
Yeah.
I feel very honored to talk to me.
Yeah, you are welcome. I do it with pleasure. I don't do it a lot also. What is happening? What are you going to do with it?
It will be on my online congress. I started as a Corona online congress with the intent to inform people on the situation and give possibilities to do a personal shift in eating, in immunostimulation, in getting to a coherent and resilient state, and rethink the possibilities of self-sufficient life. Just practical things.
Yeah, completely in line with what we were talking about.
Yeah, and now it's going to shift a bit from a Corona crisis or Corona online summit to an online summit documenting a global crisis and how human beings go through it.
Yeah.
But still on the down-to-earth point, how can we help? How can we give little solutions that can be transported into life very soon? And on the other hand, give possibilities to rethink and not be confused by mass media.
Yeah, I think you're the better person for this. I can see also you have an overview of all the different things we could do. While I am in a position that I need to focus just on one aspect, homeopathy in this case, with the same goal, you know, the same, how can we change things? But I wish you very well with what you are doing, because you have the wider setup, so to speak. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
So I wish you good luck with that. I'm going to send you a nice poem to wish you luck.
Thank you.
Good. I go to eat something.
Thank you
very much, and I wish you good luck. Wish you good luck. Take care.
Yeah, take care too. Bye.
Bye-bye.